Georgia is bringing back the top sack leader from last year's edge group that was on a historic team. We're going to talk about last year's group and this year's group on how great the edge can be for Georgia in 2022 right after this.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? I am Daniel. That is Clint. We are the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. Happy Friday to you. We're back. Join us on Apple Podcasts. I think it's called follow us on Apple Podcasts now. Right. I don't think you subscribe anymore. I think you follow us. So follow us over there, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for doing that. Thanks for leaving us a 5-star rating and review. It helps other people find the show, and we appreciate it. If you're joining us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, drop us a comment, hit us a thumbs up or whatever it is that you want to do. We appreciate you being here. We are the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. We're not gurus or insiders. We are just two regular fans who really like Georgia, and we assume that that's why you're here as well. Today, as Clint said, we're talking about edge defenders. Now, we talked about the defensive line, and we sort of mentioned some of these guys, but really now we're focused on these edge defenders, these outside linebackers, these guys that are sometimes they got their hand down, sometimes they're standing up. They're real hybrid type of players.
Now,
right?
Look, y'all, this is really important for this conversation. You need to understand the conversation that needs to take place within Kirby Smart's defense. Let me tell you, when we say edge, we're not talking outside linebacker, because an outside linebacker does not exist in Kirby Smart's system. Do you know why? Because at any given moment, Nolan Smith may be asked to put his hand on the ground, or at any given moment, he may be asked to go cover the flat or run with a tight end down the seam. Now, that's not an outside linebacker in any traditional sense. It's an edge presence, because Nolan Smith could be kicked down into a 4-tech very, very easily. Okay? Outside linebackers aren't asked to do that. Outside linebackers are outside edge of whoever's doing that. Whoever the three straight up, the 4-eye tech is, that outside linebacker. These are edge defenders, and so they have to be able to pursue the quarterback as well as pursue in pass defense, as well as put a hand down and do run defense. And again, that's crucial because we have one of the best run stopping edge defenders in all of college football on Georgia's team coming back this year, and we're going to talk about that.
Please don't leave us a comment telling us the names of the position groups on Kirby Smart's defense. Like we understand. We understand. Just listen to the words that we're trying to say. This is what we're calling these guys. And so if in your mind you want to call them something else, Robert Beal, Chavis Chambliss, Nolan Smith, MJ Sherman, Marvin Jones Jr., if you want to call these guys something different, that's fine. Just sub that out, and you just find and replace and sub that out. We love you. But this is what we're doing here. Okay, so Clint, let's talk about last year's unit when it comes to the edge. What did we see from them? And then segments 2 and 3, we're going to talk about this year's unit and what we expect to see from them. So last year's unit, you had a lot of you lost so much on the defensive line. You lost so much at inside linebacker. I mean, Clint, how much did you lose at those positions?
All of it.
All of it.
All of it.
But the only real loss that Georgia suffered on the edge last year, you could Trayvon played on the edge some, so like you could say, like he was out there some, whatever, defensive end, defensive tackle, edge. Again, it's fluid. But the only real loss that you suffered last year, you suffered in the middle of the season when Will Anderson was kicked off the team. And Adam Anderson was kicked off the team. Will Anderson, unfortunately, was never on the team.
No.
So he could not have been kicked off the team. But Will, if you'd like to transfer, we're still available. You can still come on over. It's fine. Sure. So if you look at the last several games of the season, Clint, you really have about the same group playing on the edge. So how did the edge defenders do last year in your estimation?
This edge group last year, Daniel, did a phenomenal job. I mentioned the best sack artist on the team coming back, and that is Robert Beal. He is back. He led the team 6.5 sacks, but he was a consistent force. I think the word for me on this group, Nolan Smith as well, was consistent against the run last year, 88.4. 88.4 graded out. You mentioned Will Anderson a little bit ago. He was the leading run-stopping edge defender in all of college football. He had a 90.4. So we're talking Nolan Smith, 2 points behind. That is not a great distance behind in that category, Daniel. So we get those guys, and they set the edge insanely well at UGA. They were stalwarts all the way throughout. They allowed Trayvon and the rest of the guys inside Jalen to get their dues, and we got them coming back. So this group, to me, Daniel, again, this defense is going to have insane numbers every single time I've talked about it. Time. So I am giving them, Daniel, a 96. 96 is what I give this edge group last year. Daniel, the statistical here. Let me. I have to stop this whole thing. I'm giving him 96, and many of you are like, "Well, where are the sacks? Where's the pressure?" Do you not understand how this defense played last year? This defense is an all-time historic team, and I don't care about sack totals. You know why? Because they had havoc play. They had chaos plays. They got pressure everywhere. They stopped the run game. Daniel, this edge team, Robert Beal and Nolan Smith setting that run, they could not do game plan anything. The reason why Nakobe Dean is running around making every tackle under the face of the sun is because these guys are clogging up the edges and making sure that runs spill to the exact gap that they need to. And Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker, Channing Tindall are making these. I'm giving them 96, Daniel.
No, I do not agree with that. But I do like the defense from last year. I just don't think it was those guys
I do like
necessarily that were doing some of those things. Now, did we get a ton of pressure on the quarterback? Did we make a ton of plays in the backfield? Did we cause a lot of havoc? Absolutely, yes, we did. Did Robert Beal have 6.5 sacks? Absolutely, yes, he did. But I don't know. Like, did the inside linebackers pressure the quarterback more than the edge last year? They probably did.
Sure.
Like, did the defensive front pressure the quarterback as much or more than the edge did last year?
But see, this is my problem with this. No, Dave, this is my problem. You are equating edge defenders with QB pressure. That's what you're equating now.
I'm not. I understand they were instrumental in stopping the run, the best run defense that college football has ever seen last year. And that's why I'm not going to slight them. But don't forget about Jordan Davis and Devontae Wyatt, Jalen Carter like this. So, okay, you gotta give people grades. I graded the defensive line as 100 overall. Some people were upset about that. I don't know what you want me to say, people. Look at the name of the podcast. It's right there.
Are we locked on unbiased SEC fan? Oh, nope.
Nope. It's just Locked On Bulldogs. The edge group, I'm going to give them a 92. Okay? There's no group on this defense that's lower than a 90. That is absolutely, that would be insanity for me to say that. But I can't go any higher than 92 for this last year's edge unit. Again, if Adam Anderson plays an entire season, maybe that's a bit of a difference, but he's gone and there's no use thinking about that. So let's move on to next year's team, which is essentially the same team, plus some more guys, and then we'll be able to talk and see what we expect coming forward.
But first, I want to let you know about Built Bar. Built Bar is the tastiest protein bar on planet Earth. How do we know? We've tried them all. But more importantly, right now, we want you to understand that there is this marshmallowy goodness that is happening with Built Bar Puffs. They are incredible protein bars. They are high in protein. They are high in fiber. They are low in sugar. They are keto approved. They work on any diet that you are currently on. Why? Because they are protein bars, but they taste like a candy bar. And this birthday cake stuff that they have going on right now is incredible. Just got a whole box of 20 of them from Built Bar. They are delicious. You should try them. Head over right now to BuiltBar.com. Put in the promo code LOCKEDON15 for 15% off your entire order. That's BuiltBar.com. Put in the promo code LOCKEDON15 for 15% off your entire order. Let's talk about who's coming back, Daniel.
Let's do that because everybody's coming back. So Robert Beal's coming back. Nolan Smith's coming back. Chavis Chambliss coming back.
He back.
MJ Sherman.
He back.
And now we're adding some guys.
Oh my, are we ever, Daniel?
Now we're adding some pieces. Now these are not the only pieces that we're adding, but a couple of freshmen that you and I
very high
are pretty excited about. Let's talk about Michael Williams. Let's talk about Marvin Jones. These, you never know who's going to make a jump as a freshman. There are other guys on this roster that could make a jump, but these are two guys that I think you and I both expect to contribute to this edge defense group this year.
Yes, sir.
So with all of that talent coming back, where do you have this next year's group slotting in terms of a rating? What do you think some floor and ceiling is for them? What are you looking at and to make those determinations? What are some key factors in how that group's going to play?
Here's the key factors that I understand that I'm going to use tradition and history as a big precursor. Daniel, how many times have we seen guys come back for a senior year at UGA on the edge only to go ahead and get a bump up in their stock draft their senior year? Y'all, I understand if you want to look at the numbers for Robert Beal and for even MJ Sherman Jr. already, like how'd that happen? We blinked and he's a junior already, Daniel. It just seems just like yesterday you were talking about him running through and burning the South. I just can't believe it. Talking about Nolan Smith, only 3.5 sacks, but yet I want to tell you that think of the recent run of guys that have come back, been freak athletes, freak testing at the combine, and put it all together their senior year because, y'all, it's hard to play edge in the SEC. Okay? It's really difficult. I know every position.
There's a lot of good tackles out there.
Guys,
all the good tackles are in this league.
All of them. So
it's tough.
My name, I think Nolan Smith is going to do just fine. I think he's going to get a big bump. I think Robert Beal is going to be just fine. I think they're going to have the floor as last year, which again, the second best run defender. That's the floor, right? And then Robert Beal 6.5 is the floor. I think a guy to keep MJ Sherman to me is poised to blow up this season. I think he is put together. I think he's been behind literally everybody has been drafted, plus Nolan Smith, plus Robert Beal, plus Adam Anderson from last year. I think MJ Sherman is going to get a lot of reps, a lot of rotation. Guys, this rotation for this coming year is going to be excessive.
All right, what's the number, Clint? What's the number?
94, Daniel. This group is 94. Because now again, I think they're going to be asked to do different things this year than they were last year. I was grading them upon last year what they were asked to do, which was, again, set the edge and let the other guys really do their thing, as well as get involved from time to time. I think this year they're going to have to step up a little bit because we don't have those inside linebackers, as you mentioned, Daniel. So I project them to be 94, which we'll get to that next week. And I might have a brain.
I don't want to.
Live on this show. You might.
I don't want to get to it.
Okay. 94, Daniel, is what I'm giving them.
I am. It's interesting. We normally don't have a ton of difference in our ratings. You gave a 96. I gave a 92. That was a fairly significant spread. This coming season, you're going 94, Clint. Yes, what if I told you I'm going 97?
Here we go, y'all.
I just think you said it. What? You could just trot guys out there, and last year's edge is the floor.
That's the floor.
Like, it only goes up for these guys from there. And I'm going to talk in the next segment about specifically who I think is going to be going up And who I think is going to be contributing, I think that MJ Sherman pick is a great pick. I got a different guy that I want you to keep your eye on this year. So we'll come back. We're going to give some projections, who we think is going to contribute, what we might get out of some of these freshmen, all that coming up in the third segment. First, want to tell you about BetOnline.
Yes, sir.
It's your online sportsbook expert, people. And the only place that Clint and I trust to place all of our wagers online. If you like to bet on sports, which if you don't, can I just pray for you, or just maybe send you a card, maybe a basket of mini muffins or something? Because it's a tough life if you don't enjoy betting on sports. But if you do like to bet on sports, aka you're a human person, then you should go to betonline.net. It is your online sportsbook expert's easy website to navigate, whether you're on your desktop or mobile device. Easy to get your money in, easy to get your money out, easy to make your bets. They've got every single prop, parlay, money line, spread, over, under, whatever you want. They've got it in any sport. Sports you've never heard of, sports you've never wanted to bet on, right down to the NBA conference finals that are going on right now. Major League Baseball, you want to get in on that. Jump in, bet on baseball games. I still haven't figured out how to bet on baseball, Clint. I don't understand.
You don't.
You don't. I think that's how you do it. We got college football futures are starting to come out. You can get on those. All of that, betonline.net. They're your online sportsbook experts. The only place Clint and I trust, the official sportsbook partner of the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. BetOnline. Enter the promo code Locked On. Get a bonus on your initial deposit at betonline.net.
Daniel, you teased the people. You said you have another pick besides MJ Sherman that's going to go ahead and stand out. Who is that person, and what statistical increase do you see them having?
Can we start calling Chavis Chambliss the Rock Auto of the defense? Because my man out here in the full mustache. You understand? Yes, he may not have it this coming season, but Chaz, if you're listening, give the people what they want. Give the people what they want. You better just keep your eye on Chavis Chambliss. You saw him last year, Clint. It's not like this guy was not involved last year. What was he doing when you saw him last year? I'll tell you what he's doing. He was getting thrown out of games for targeting. That's what he was doing.
Not a targeting, by the way, just so we fully
understand. Man out here just getting tossed out of games for targeting. Now, I'm laughing at that. Obviously, I'm not laughing about targeting or player safety or bad officiating or any of that nonsense. That's not what we're here to do. What makes me excited about the fact that we saw Chavis Chambliss play last year and the manner in which we saw Chavis Chambliss play last year is, I'll tell you what kind of a vibe I got from old Chaz.
What'd you see?
I got a little bit of a Lewis Cine vibe. Did you get that vibe, Clint? Did you get a little?
I'm going to tell you this right now. There are certain guys on defense who just have fisheye. Okay? Who just look at you with fisheye.
Tell the people what you mean. Tell the people what
means you mean. There is no emotion when you look at them. The fisheye is just the dead eye. It's just staring
dead on the inside. They are dead on the inside.
Like, are you prohibiting me from practicing and playing?
You see that guy at the bar. Let me just turn around.
I've said this before. Guy who's making a ruckus at the bar, who's yelling and talking about how big he is, I have never feared him once in my life. Dude who is sipping his drink, sets it down slowly and just turns his head and stares at you. I'm not approaching.
You don't want no part. This is your Chavis Chambliss right there. Yes, you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes, sir.
I think we're going to see some big things out of this guy. I really do like him a lot.
Okay.
I've been on MJ Sherman, and so I'm not saying MJ Sherman is not going to contribute, but I think you got those four guys. And listen, I think Nolan Smith's going to do a lot more than fine. I think Nolan Smith's going to be a first-round draft pick, Clint.
Oh, yes.
Nolan Smith will be a first-round draft pick based on the way he plays this season. And listen to me. Robert Beal might be a first-round draft pick, Clint. So
hold on.
You laughed at us when we said Devontae Wyatt might be a first-round draft pick. You laughed, listener. Don't act like you didn't laugh.
And then
when we said Devontae Wyatt, who was being mocked in the 6th round
And then what happened?
At the beginning of last season, we said that's a first-round talent right there. And then lo and behold, what happened? I'm just saying to you, you got two seniors, not one senior, Clint, but two seniors starting on those edge.
That's some Ojulari type feel out there for both those guys.
That's for two guys who are playing football for their livelihood, Clint. This is not a game.
How that work for Jordan Davis?
Worked out fine.
Okay.
Worked out fine. I like between those four guys, and then you got these freshman guys coming in. You got other guys that may see playing time. Listen, there's a million guys we could get to.
Sure.
I'm sure you'll tell us in the comments about all the people that we left out and whatever.
Sure.
Those are the guys that are the most exciting to us. I really think that this year's Edge team has a chance. The Edge unit has a chance to be really special.
I do as well. They're going to be incredible. We think this defense is going to be good. It's not going to be just as great, but it's going to be just fine. And when we say just fine, up to Georgia's standard of just fine. That does it for Locked On Bulldogs here on Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Come back next week and we'll talk more like fans here on Locked On Bulldogs. We'll see you guys then.
See ya.